After NASA's formation in 1958, they stated that their goal was to reach for new heights and reveal the unknown, so that what we do and learn will benefit all humankind. Today, after decades of space travel, it is clear that they are and will continue to accomplish their goals. Space travel all started in the 30s and 40s during World War II, when Nazi Germany started to use rockets as weapons for the first time. And after that, the United States and Germany both created missile programs to benefit their knowledge. Soon after this, in the 1950s, the space race began, and both the United States and the Soviet Union were spurred on by competition to be the first nation to enter space. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviets eventually won out, and they launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite to enter the Earth's atmosphere. After their success, they launched Sputnik 2 in the same year, which involved the first living being to travel to space, Laika the dog. The United States caught up soon after that, and in the next year, they launched their first satellite, Explorer 1, on January 31st, 1958. Soon, both countries decided to attempt to put a man into space, and they actually both ended up accomplishing it within the same month, and they both put a human man into orbit. Throughout the 1960s, many unmanned spacecrafts traveled to the moon to determine if it was ready for human explorers. And eventually, on July 16, 1969, Neil Armstrong first stepped onto the moon. After this, America began to explore the moon, and they sent 6 Apollo missions between 1969 and 1972. In the 1970s, orbiting communications and navigation satellites began to be used every day, and soon, space technology became normalized. And by the end of the 70s, the Mariner and Voyager spacecrafts began to orbit and map other planets in our solar system. And by the 80s, satellite technology began to develop, popularizing television and searching space with telescopes to find other planets and stars. During this time, the Space Shuttle program began to take people to space, and there were 24 successful launches in the 80s, until January 28, 1986, when the Challenger spacecraft exploded and 7 people died. In spite of this, the program continued on, and in 2003 there was yet another tragedy, and the shuttle broke apart while re-entering the atmosphere. The program eventually ended in 2011, after 30 years of working with satellites, conducting research, and helping to build the International Space Station. The first expedition to the International Space Station occurred in 2000 and has been used continually since for research. It is now known as a worldwide symbol of cooperation with astronomical research and space travel, and has been visited by over 17 nations.
Today, NASA is planning a program to get the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024. The program will come in 3 phases, Artemis 1, 2, and 3. Artemis 1 will ensure that future crewed missions to the moon will be safe with new technology that's been developed in recent years. Artemis 2 will hold a crew on NASA's Orion spacecraft and perform a lunar flyby. Artemis 3 will land on the south pole of the moon with the first woman to ever walk on the moon. Together, these 3 missions will help find out if the moon has the resources needed for long-term human space exploration. It will also give us information as to how we could learn to live on other celestial bodies besides Earth. It would also prove that the technology we have developed in recent years could safely get humans to Mars. While Mars does remain the horizon goal, NASA has set its sights on exploring more of the moon. This is because learning more about the moon would help us understand if life on Mars could function. Additionally, private spaceflight company SpaceX has its own plans to get to Mars. The company is currently building a rocket called the Starship. The Starship will be the first rocket of its kind with the ability to carry up to 100 passengers and large amounts of cargo. While their plan isn't as detailed as NASA's, SpaceX founder Elon Musk claims that the first Mars base could be up and running by 2028. The end goal is an intricate network of buildings and infrastructure on Mars. The Starship will be able to fly back and forth between Mars, counting on the fact that Mars has the natural resources to fuel the ship. Elon Musk has even suggested the possibility of a 1 million-person colony on Mars. This would require a collaboration between SpaceX and NASA that would make human beings the first multi-planet species. No matter what, it is clear that the current goal is putting human beings on Mars, and it is something that we will likely see within the next decade.
Thanks for watching!